failure to extend the lease under reasonable terms constitutes a cause for eviction.
The Weekly Friedman, your source for the most essential information in the default industry, with your host, Adam Friedman.
Connecticut Senate Bill 257, currently before the Housing Committee, proposes to expand just cause eviction protections. If enacted, the bill would require landlords in covered properties to establish one of several enumerated grounds before commencing an eviction action in Connecticut. Today, I'm joined by Friedman Vartolo Associate Adam Avallone to walk through this possible change and what it would mean. Adam, how's it going today?
Good. How are you, Adam?
Doing pretty good. We're saying that at the expiration of a lease, a landlord may not be able to evict a tenant. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. It is limited to buildings with 5 or more units. So this is not going to affect your run-of-the-mill residential mortgage foreclosure. This is more on the commercial foreclosure end, with some of the larger buildings having, multiple units and multiple tenants. So I think that's one important distinction to make at the beginning.
What would be just cause? What causes must exist or what facts must exist for an eviction to proceed if the property was covered under this proposed bill?
It would be non-payment of rent, a material violation of the lease, a specific lease term, breach of certain statutory duties, including failure to maintain the unit in a safe, reasonable, and healthy manner, I would say, or in compliance with local and state health regulations. Another option would be illegal conduct or serious nuisance. Those sort of things would be eligible for eviction under this proposed bill. You can't ask for rent increases. That's covered under the statute. They have to be reasonable rent increases as defined by the statute. Essentially, that's what it does.
But let's say I put out a lease with a reasonable rent increase. The occupant says, it's not reasonable. I don't want to do that. I want no rent increase. And they refuse to sign. I can't evict them.
I think at that point you can, because failure to extend the lease under reasonable terms constitutes a cause for eviction.
Okay, that makes sense. Why would the legislature do this?
It's been a bill that's come and gone a few times over the last few years. From the tenant perspective, it's meant to prevent landlords who simply just want to get rid of tenants really for no reason. I mean, maybe the tenant isn't the most cooperative person in the world. Maybe there's some personal issue or something like that. But, under the existing structure, obviously lapse of time of a lease would constitute grounds for eviction. With this bill, that changes a little bit. You can't simply have the no-cause eviction. It's a tenant-pushed change in the law that has been floating around Connecticut for a few years now.
So it sounds like you anticipate this bill passing.
I think at some point it will.
I really appreciate this. There's a couple of things here I think, big takeaway-wise, the property has to be at least 5 units. I think that's a big thing to focus on. And also highlighting the occupant has to agree to a reasonable new lease. I think both of those are really important clarifications because I think that when people in this industry see a good cause eviction bill, they're worried because it can be very restrictive. So I appreciate it. This is very valuable insight.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining Adam Avallone and I in the Weekly Friedman, your source for the most essential information in the default industry. Thanks for tuning in and looking forward to seeing you next time.